Welcome back to some professional Age of Empires 4 from the Elite Gaming Community's Winter Tournament Qualifiers. The best of the best from two different games facing off. Let me first introduce to you the winner of the very first Age of Empires 4 tournament and so many in Age of Empires 4 divided by 2. It is, of course, TheViper as French in this match. Here on Lippany. And then on the other side, some of you may recognize the name. And yes, it is the Leenock. One of the most exciting players, a GSL and MLG champion, by the way. I actually was at a Major League Gaming. Remember when they did real games? Yeah, I know. Where Leenock won almost 10 years ago. Oh my god. Oh, we're all getting old. Oh, moving on. But yes, it is Leenock. He's now top 50 alongside TheViper in Age of Empires 4. And even though TheViper won the first tournament, there's been a lot of stiff competition with especially SC2 players and former SC2 players. So we'll see if Leenock has what it takes to knock TheViper out of this tournament. Let's go over the matchup, the players, the map, anything else to fill the time. And I have it on good authority that this is not a short match. One's not going to roll over the other, but instead, we will see a wide variety of strategies and choices. Leenock choosing Chinese, which has had a surge of popularity since the winter update. So many winter things. I'm excited to be so honored by many, many things surrounding the game. But Chinese in the winter update had a buff to the Jugnus, which are their unique unit. Repeater crossbows, surprisingly both cheap and good against archers, and capable-ish against knights and men-at-arms, just because they shoot so much. Another important thing is people are really starting to figure out the Imperial Official. All right, the Imperial Official, middle management, and bureaucratic efficiency is the Chinese way. Both in moving their way through the varied dynasties, which unlock different buffs, like the Song Dynasty, unlocking the Jugnus, and faster villager production. The Yuan Dynasty, unlocking faster everything, movement speed, including your villagers, as well as Fire Lancers. The Scourge of team games, and occasionally seen in actual games. And then the Ming Dynasty, which unlocks Grenadiers and more HP on your units, though you can only have one at a time. We'll have to see, as he's up against French on Lippany, which is a relatively open land map. There's no water to moisten our feet, or boats, or anything that can hit boats. Moving on. But instead there are some stealth force in the middle, where only really scouts and outposts can see much. Vision is a huge deal. In Age of Empires 4, scouts are kind of required to navigate some parts of the map. So we will see how both players handle that. I would definitely categorize, though, to summarize, Chinese as the Zerg. For those who don't know, Leenock played Zerg in StarCraft 2. One of the best. Chinese can switch from economy to military production with the supervision of the Imperial officials, which increases production speed or increases resource drop-off, as well as has tax collecting, which is just passive income once you get to a certain point, though the supervisability is by far the most popular in most cases, just to make sure you're maximizing whatever you're focusing on. On the other side, TheViper has French. The French are strong, though there was a buff to Spearmen recently. Jimmy, I can't hear myself think over this calming music. This calming music is enraging me. Can we... Thank you. Okay, oh my god. The French don't have too many lanes they can go down easily. They have the School of Cavalry, which is the only viable landmark at the moment. And they have, later on, the Arbalétrier, the better crossbows. They have better knights and better crossbows, as well as the Guild Hall and just a bonus to villager production speed as well. But it looks like both players, this is a full series, and both these players know the other is probably not going to die to some early all-in or take a ton of damage to knights. Is this a pro scouts build? Yes, the Viper. Professional scouts. He can pick up, they'll finally figure out how to pick up deer and put them on the back, as nobody ever thought of the idea of picking up the carcasses of dead animals before. But the Viper is for 275 gold, which sounds like a lot. He's going to pick up the deer and bring them back. Having access to food that isn't farms or costs a significant amount of wood, even if it does cost gold, is becoming the most lucrative play. He will drop them right next to his town center. That doesn't mean Leenock can't also go for professional scouts and pick them up himself. But it doesn't appear Leenock is going down that road. Instead, he's going to protect his own deer with a second town center early on. So an early expansion for Leenock. We'll have to see if the Viper challenges those there. He can yoink them out. Grand Theft Venison could be on the agenda. Though, how many scouts has he built? The Viper now has 4 scouts, so not enough to yank an entire group of deer, which is usually 7. But enough to continue to have that reliable food income. He's also going for survival techniques, which is a relatively cheap upgrade. Even quicker gather rate on those deer, which are some of the quickest in the game, besides boar you can get on land maps. Way quicker than sheep, berries, or farm, though. There are different rates for each one. I'm not going to get too far into the math because it scares me. Viper continuing. A key point here for the Viper is he's building off a 1 base. It looks like he wants to lay the pressure on. He knows the Chinese economy can get out of hand very quickly. Has he scouted? He hasn't scouted the second TC. Has he scouted the gold? We do have a bit of a map bug here, which happens sometimes because the spectator interface is entirely finished and not broken at all. So I'm not sure if... I'm going to assume he scouted the gold at some point and knows there's likely a second TC, but that probably hasn't affected this too much, as French is much more suited to putting on pressure, as Chinese doesn't really have any aggressive options against someone who's building knights this early. You can defend, but if you move out on the open field, your units can get cut off, surrounded, or just outmaneuvered. So Leenock, understanding this, especially with his 2 TC, is just building up to defend. He suspects, I think, there may be a ram push. In fact, will there be? A blacksmith is done. Looks like the town center takes out a scout. A blacksmith is done. Leenock hasn't spotted it yet. That blacksmith does provide access to siege engineering tech. Leenock not building anything but spearmen at the moment. He's holding the line. The spearmen, with the last patch, automatically brace. They do a little bit extra damage against knights, but I think the real buff was automatically bracing. That brace maneuver, if the knights are charging, both stuns them and does damage. And that is super key for getting follow-up attacks and potentially killing, especially the French knights. So having a few spearmen scattered where those knights want to charge in is a real way of defending. A little unfortunate for this barracks here. Viper, any, still no stone income. Wow, does he have a stone? Is that his stone? All the way back there. Yeah, just slowly burning down the barracks. We'll get there. Horsemen heading out for Leenock. Right now, the worker count, Leenock's at 36 to 37. Remember, villagers are produced faster, 20% faster in the feudal age for the Viper. So he's able to keep up with the 2 TC production, because right now Leenock is not in the Song Dynasty. He hasn't found the resources for a second landmark, at least that I can see. And without that second landmark, his villagers produce the good old-fashioned rate of not that fast, 20 seconds per villager. And he got driven off of his original mill, which means he hasn't had consistent food income. Though the 2 TC, I think, is very soon going to be paying off for him, assuming the knights don't close the distance on his second TC. He has 6 spears inside, ready to shoot. It doesn't matter who's inside the town center. They shoot arrows. They give him a bow. When they leave, they say, you can't take that with you. But once they're in the town center, they get a bow. And they start shooting at anything nearby. Doesn't matter if it's a monk, a villager, or a spearman. Everything's starting to slow down. Like, at this point, the Viper, he is mining stone. So this is... Leenock hasn't seen it, but it's kind of an admission of what's happening in the game. It is an admission that, yeah, he's not going to kill him. You're not going to kill him with the knights. The archers aren't going to do critical damage. He's already got a good enough economy. The only way I'm going to catch up right now is by adding another TC myself. Yeah, the Viper at 43 to 41 villagers. So Leenock focusing more on getting units on the field and dragging the knights away from his economy than he is on building villagers at the moment. And remember, with the supervision mechanic, he actually does have additional income, even without economy upgrades. And let's look. Does he have any? Right now, Leenock has wheelbarrow, that villager speed and carry. So, especially when you're moving your villagers around a lot or chopping through your wood, wheelbarrow is just a decent survivability upgrade as well. I take it all back. Well, not all of it. I take a little bit of it back. Viper is going for a ram push. But Leenock is ready to fight. He's got all sorts of spears here. He sees the rams. He catches them right before they finish. Viper very likely going to have to cancel. Yeah, it's unclear exactly how well this is going to go. The horsemen here to counter the archers. The spearmen to stab right through the knights. Any upgrades on these? He's got +2 armor, so he's upgraded +1. Yeah, he's upgraded +1 ranged armor. So the archer's not doing nearly as much as they could be. And it looks like Leenock will be able to overwhelm Viper's forces and drive them back across the map. Yeah, that is not the sort of map control. I think that ram push was mostly, maybe not to end the game, but he can get the second TC. He can catch Leenock getting a little too greedy. Then he gets a second TC himself. Viper's looking real good. But right now, the supply is 63 to 60. Still in favor of Viper. The French villager production, very good. Yeah, he's still up a few. But now Leenock has map control. And this feudal age as well. Will he go... Well, let's see. He has currently... Oh, we're looking at the Viper. He has currently 500 in the bank. So, looks like he's going to press this as far as he can, and then probably pull back and either add on another landmark or his castle age. Let's just take a look at current resource. Yeah, the Viper also banking a lot of gold, and I don't think these players are banking gold to think they'll gain interest. No, that's banking gold for more infrastructure or more likely the castle age. A scout watching to see if Leenock starts trading. I wonder if we'll see a significant amount of neutral trade. One of the more interesting parts of AOE4 is the ability to trade with neutral trade posts, which actually gives a slight bonus compared to player trade posts. Of course, there are no other players to trade with that won't try to murder you in this match, so you're kind of limited to that. Yeah, both of them have enough Viper. Gonna be starting... I'm gonna go ahead and make a wild assumption of a guild hall. There's a market, just in case he wants to manage the economy a little more. There's the guild hall, which generates resources. The longer you look... So the guild hall, I was joking about interest before, but the guild hall, the longer you let it go, the faster it accumulates whatever resource you choose. So usually food by default, but I'm sure Viper will choose what he needs most. So pretty much you kind of just let it simmer for 5-10 minutes, and then you're like, oh, 5,000 food. How convenient. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not 5 minutes for 5,000, but the longer you can leave it there, the more you're going to get at the end. There's a cap at some point. It looks... So whenever you reach a new age, buildings gain more HP. So Leenock's building maintained the same HP, but got a greater max, which is why you saw that animation, which is definitely another feature of AOE4. He still is in the... I'm not sure how we see his dynasty, so I'm just going to have to guess. I'm not seeing an Imperial Academy. Important to know. No Imperial Academy means he's still in the Tang dynasty. That means he's still in the starter, where he only has extra scout vision. That's it. No additional villager speed. One of the... probably the most common dynasty to be hanging out in is the Yuan dynasty. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. But when you get both Castle Age landmarks, you get access to it. And that's 15% move speed on everything. Everything. It's amazing. And you can get that technically in Castle... And Leenock agrees. Thank you, Leenock. Amazing. So it's like having an extra wheelbarrow on your villagers and a 15% movement speed buff. That makes your palace guards, which are the Chinese semi-equivalent to men-at-arms, almost as fast as a knight. Spearmen are only 10% slower than knights when you're in the Yuan dynasty. And, of course, your horses are faster. So... there's a lot going on. You can kind of tell. Leenock already obviously playing like a Zerg. This is how Chinese plays. It's why it's my personal favorite. And I'm glad that Leenock is playing in... well, he's obviously way better. But he's playing in a similar way. Constantly poking and prodding. He held with overwhelming units. And now he's continually sending counterattacks around. He's got his Zerglings. He's trying to keep Viper off of any free food and forcing him to build farms. Viper, on the other hand, working on building up his army. What upgrades does he have? He has +1 archer armor, and French get melee upgrades for free, so he's got that going. What do we have here? He could build Fire Lancers, and he is. Fire Lancers, not so great against knights. I mean, you get enough of them, and their explosions can definitely help. A very microable unit as well. When they charge, they do a radius explosion that can rip through villagers and lighter units. And if you have enough, you can start to whittle down the more expensive units. They're especially a horseman with a fancy lance that is like a recharging bottle rocket. Or more like a grenade. But also, team game players will know them as the thing that kills them and destroys their landmarks when they never look at the minimap. But at this level are definitely more practically used as an anti-unit mass. Like they're kind of a soft siege unit in doing that AoE damage. They are unique to the Yuan dynasty as well. Something to point out. That's why we weren't seeing them until he finished the Imperial Palace. Once the Fire Lancers are on the field, Viper, with a strong response, he decides, I'm just going to wall everything off. And I don't really blame him, as if they do get behind the lines, they can wreak a whole lot of havoc. Knights coming in. Oh, not all of them can fit in that tower. The first line of attacks, and with some bees on the back. Wow, this doing even better. He's got some spears in there. There's a lot of pokey sticks, which is, you know, like a tried and true tactic of humanity since the beginning of time, is just increasingly long-range pokey sticks in one form or another. The bees, the archers trying to delay the keep, but not gonna happen. Fire Lances coming in. Viper retreating as Leenock able to take this position, and with the keep, not even a contest. 76 to 89 villagers for the Viper. Wow. There is 680 food and counting. Well, we just saw another tick of it. 780 in the guild hall. Viper looks... He's not really banking enough to think about Imperial right now. As the income goes, Leenock now has a whole bunch of farms. Mostly farms, as he's made that transition. Viper has not quite gotten his farm transition yet. Why this is important is because wood is the most valuable resource in the game. I'm not being sarcastic. Getting wood is the hardest part. All puns intended. There are only so many trees, and there is no way to automatically gather wood. Once you place a farm, you've already paid for it. It's not like AOE2, you don't have to reseed it. You pay that 75 wood, and that farm will be generating food until it's destroyed, or there are no villagers to work it. So, making the transition to farms, though, and finding when you have both the wood and the villagers for it is the hardest part. And you see, in AOE4, you can go over 20 minutes without fully committing to farms, which makes it very different than AOE2 in that regard. Knights have slipped around the back. There was no vision. I think Leenock will add some outposts there to gain vision. Most of the units are making their way back. Viper finishing up veteran upgrades for a lot of different things right now. The next tier, was that veteran knights? Yeah. So even harder to kill. But the spears are running back pretty quick. Leenock able to keep everything together. He's down 25 villagers right now. But that might not... So the amount of villagers you need really depends on the situation. I'd say 100 to 120. 120 on the outside is max. And it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Obviously, in the later game, you don't want as many villagers, so that way your army has a better chance of winning. But if you're not maxed out, you want as much money as you can get. So right now, a 20 villager lead is a big deal for the Viper. Mostly Fire Lancers here. Yeah, entirely Fire Lancers there. They're like horsemen with their fancy lances, though. They cost a little gold instead of more food. Leenock actually has enough to start Imperial. He's going to start a Spirit Way. He's collected 2 relics for another couple hundred gold per minute. In fact, he's doing just fine on the gold right now. Some spears on the back line. Meanwhile, microing lancers on the other side. The player camera doesn't work incredibly well, but I'm going to take a second and just watch Leenock's camera. As right now, he's ground out. Despite the villagers, a pretty solid score lead. He's keeping Viper on the back foot on multiple sides. The Knights are trying to get through, but at some point, the best thing you can do is snipe maybe the Imperial officers that are boosting production or resources. He's kept his siege weapons at home because so far he's just been jockeying for position. Now we're going to see what he actually wants to build. Elite Fire Lancers are the choice. I wonder if he'll go for the Ming Dynasty. I don't think Grenadiers on open maps really have... They're very strong. The Grenadier, they throw grenades. Throwing grenades, good strat. Oh no, oh no. Can't even get his special hands around the relic. The monk murdered in the midfield. Viper does have a ton of military. Yeah, the spears, as long as they remain somewhat spread out, are pretty good against the Fire Lancers, and if they don't actually get the charge off, then they just murder the Lancers there, so we will see. Meanwhile, Viper maintaining. There's not that much vision for Leenock. He's kind of stuck in his base right now. He's down 40 supply, as Viper has maintained his unit count, whereas Leenock has been throwing things away. Sacred sites kind of incidental. Are there 2 sacred? They're like... Okay. Sometimes they come in pairs, because that's the way it is. A few spears in the back line. Does Leenock have textiles? The textiles villager health upgrade? Something... It's one of those upgrades you really should have, like Overlord speed. at this stage of the game, you really should just have plus 25 villager health. It's 50, 100. It takes 20 seconds. Everything on the town center takes 20 seconds. Fun fact. But a lot of players seem to forget it exists. So Leenock holding on. Like, while Viper continually has a pretty significant supply lead. Did he just press the guild hall button? Right now he just pressed it. Where'd he get, how much food does he have? He must have spent it already. I don't know how much, but he's at 0. I heard the button. Let's see what he's building. He is now building a little bit of everything. He's got a dozen spears. He's got a bunch of upgrades, especially siege upgrades, a huge amount of production. So Viper kind of just filling in all the blanks here. Oh yeah. By the way, the Age of Springolds has ended. Springolds still very good as an anti-siege weapon. In fact, better than they were. They do extra damage against siege weaponry, but they do less against everything else. A long time coming, but there you go. More keeps coming up on either side. And I think soon, we're going to see what Viper's late game army looks like. As Leenock is still struggling to put even 150 supply on the table. More villagers being murdered. He hasn't yet gotten over 100. Viper's at 130 villagers. So, like, he's all that counter-harass, not doing much here to slow Viper down in his villager production. His economy is good. He's got plenty of wood, so he can either add production or siege weapons. We will see. In fact, he's going to add rams, the ultimate siege weapon. Leenock will clear out the left side of the map. There's still a knight. Ah! So as you can see, Fire Lancer's not great against armored units. But eventually quantity is a quality all its own. The great summoning ritual for the rams has begun. So what does a win condition look like for the Viper? I mean, we know what the win conditions are, but like, what army does he think will make the difference? Because right now we've kind of gotten to the point where both sides have their civilization spread out so far that it is a big commitment to choose which side you want to fight on, as that leaves the entire other side, possibly half of all your income or production, vulnerable. Some horsemen running through. Leenock at 154. Viper is maxed. 200 supply. Oh no, Leenock! No! He's chasing one horseman all the way through the base. And that means the rams are going to close the distance on the town center. Classic mistake. Now, the Fire Lancers have extra torch. Oh, if there's one thing they're good against, it is certainly rams. As they have that extra torch damage, trying to do the AoE damage against spears. The battle begins, the ram just going at it at the back. I'm not sure what kind of university upgrades. Looks like just now finishing +3 melee armor, as well as upgrading 20% infantry health and damage. More Fire Lancers coming in to burn the ram. Will it get its last hit before the town center? It burns. Meanwhile, one very unlucky monk is wondering why he decided to sign up for this job. And Viper is doing probably the best he can to mine out the resources on the map, so Leenock will be forced to either trade or accept terrible market prices in the future. Looks like there's a cannon. Leenock right now, his army is A little bit of everything. Mostly Fire Lancers, but with a lot of Siege mixed in. He just queued up a whole bunch of Fire Lancers. So he's just going to continue down that road with a little bit of Siege on the back line to help deal with the masses of units. Springolds to try to counter any cannons. I'm not sure how they do against Fire Lancers. I mean, 30 damage a pop against... Yeah, the Fire Lancers have way too much HP. Leenock does seem to have most of the relevant university upgrades. He's got infantry. He's got flaming arrows, the incendiary arrows, as well as the cavalry HP upgrade from the university. So he's looking good on that. And here come the full combined Chinese army. He's got a whole lot of army supply as well. 71 military. Viper, almost identical with way more villagers. So we will see. This is it. The bees still attacking a siege workshop. Not the ideal choice. Cannons going at it. Springolds on the back line. The Springolds easily targeted down by the Fire Lancers. A few spears coming in from the north side. It is unclear exactly. It looks like the Viper is struggling to close the distance on the cannons as he doesn't really have much vision inside of the trees. And for now, Leenock will take the first part of the battle as reinforcements come streaming in. The Fire Lancers moving out. Viper will have to regroup. The walls have been breached. The bees continue. That siege workshop will be down any day now. Fire Lancers stream in through the gap. The spears will catch them without the lances going off, but they're in behind the lines. And a few unlucky villagers will get caught by the lances. Meanwhile, another re-engagement by horsemen and knights. Not nearly enough of them, though. A handful of archers. A clutch of archers here. Enough to stop any spears that may try to stop the lancers. And let's see what kind of damage has been done so far. Leenock. Viper still has 117 villagers. He still has... Well, he doesn't have much food or wood in the bank. And those are probably the most valuable resources at this stage of the game. He just needs to be able to produce enough units. He can't counter the Chinese siege. It's too powerful. Horsemen running past the archers, but the archers left alone. Nothing in front of them right now. More archers on the back line. Cannons blasting through, but not the premium targets they're looking for. They want to be targeting the production or valuable units, not horsemen and spears. Though, of course, they do just fine against them. The Springolds at long range might be able to snipe one of the clock tower bombards, but the Fire Lancers have had enough of that. And then they say, well, we're taking a detour, and they go around the barracks. An advanced strategy, and those Springolds will burn. Jimmy. One thing, real quick. My eyes. Only smart bars. Because we're smart players here. There we go. Can we turn off the burning icon? No, that one's built in. Okay. Did you know this building's on... Well, it's not on fire anymore. The Springolds attempting to line up shots on the bombards. They will find it. Knights charging forward into the archers. The archers don't have any sort of frontline defense. Fire Lancers on top of the Springolds. Bombards having a bit of a field day here. Just blasting through. The bees finding opportunities. And we will see from here. The Fire Lancers don't have the stopping power. The Fire Lancers just kind of die. They themselves are countered by knights. I think the missing piece here for Leenock is spears. He's missing spears. As he needs some spears of his own to stop the knights in their path. Okay, what is Leenock producing at this stage? He's adding... Well, you know what? you're right. Leenock's right. I'm not surprised to be saying this. Who needs spears when you could build hand cannons? Hand cannons hit so hard, they don't care how much armor you have. That's why gunpowder was kind of invented. So bombard cannons good, but unwieldy. Too much supply, too expensive. Hand cannons, I mean, anyone can carry them. Alright, Leenock retreats. Viper, how many villagers does he have left? Oh, he has more villagers than we last checked in, because right now, he has how many town? 1, 2, 3... I think 3? 3 town centers? He builds them so quick. And he still has 55 on food. Leenock is maxed out, though, grinding through the production. Viper has 8 stables, 5 archery ranges. He's losing his production. It can be rebuilt on the back line, but he almost has no wood left over to do so, let alone to build any of these units. This could be a decisive battle. As right now, the landmark town center, some cannons coming out. Did he get the College of Artillery? He's got 3 relics, by the way, so he has constant gold income. Not so... Oh, no, 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 the cannon going too far, trying to blast at the clock tower bombard. It does so, but there's another bombard to the right flank. The cannon taken down. Hand cannons in the back line as well. I feel like I'm saying the word cannon a lot. And surprisingly not playing StarCraft right now. It does sound like a sacred site was taken by one side or the other. We'll jump to that eventually. The hand cannon's trying to blast through the knights at this stage. Having a tough time of it. There's one bombard over to the left flank. Was it taken out? No, it's retreating because there's one ambitious spearman. The knights are eventually grinding through the fragile tissue paper of the archers, and then, well, not much more than that from the hand cannons. Once again, Leenock suffering from a lack of units that can hold the line. He's producing a lot more spears now. The spears to stop the knights in their tracks. The spears are needed because the knights are just too heavily armored with too much HP. Leenock has taken 2 out of 3 sacred sites. They give 100 gold a minute alongside those relics. 100 or 150, I'm not sure which one it is. No deli here, of course. But Leenock continues to maintain the offensive. Viper is not maxed. He has nothing on gold or stone, but he has plenty in the bank. Let's look at the guild hall. Guild hall update. What do we got in here? He just spent it. Whatever it was, he just dragged it out, and he spent it. He has 0 in the guild hall, which means whatever was in there has already been used. He's making a mangonel. He's getting upgraded archers. A slight... Oh! Leenock finds the knights. He has just some palisades up here. And Viper tried to make a counterattack happen, but guess what? The Leenocktopus reaches out another tentacle, and he slaps him away. A sucker punch, if you would. The Fire Lancers see that keep and see something they can burn. Just ignore the fact it's made out of stone. It gets repaired with wood. That's how it works. The keep is burning, but the boiling oil upgrade for the keep is helping a lot against the Fire Lancers. Fighting fire with fire, the only viable option. Some mangonels at the back, taking out the critical mass of spears. The archer's getting distracted here. And unfortunately for Leenock, the Viper will strike back. Let's see, the supply is 190 to 174. Does Leenock... What does he got now? He's still on the Yuan Dynasty. He's still on the Yuan Dynasty. For that movement speed. I'm not seeing any Grenadiers, though that might be an interesting option, yeah. The Mangonel is trying to close the distance, but the Fire Lancers... Wow, wow. That's a lot of... Wow, they do a lot of damage to that. Oh, the Viper trying to repair and will successfully do so. 3 Fire Lancers are real danger to even well-defended mangonels. Leenock does have a ton of food and wood in the bank right now. Cannons, a good counter to archers. Maybe not the most efficient counter, but definitely a counter. Mangonels throwing things out. Here we go again. Open field battle. Mangonels onto the spears. The spears not on the knights. Leenock kind of mismanaging his units at the moment. He will chase down the mangonels, but his own bombards are going to be taken down by the knights that are easily able to close the distance. The spears counter the knights. The knights counter the archers. The archers counter the spears, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, Leenock lost his spears off to the side, and the archers took the brunt of the knights, and that means Viper will continue to press forward. How many? Oh my. Okay, he's got +2. Check the eco upgrades while we have a chance. He's got +1. He's got +2 food. These are the ones he doesn't have we're looking at. He's got +1 wood. He's got +1 mining. And that's the extent of it. As the eco upgrades are quite gold heavy for the bonus they give, villagers are cheaper than spending all that extra gold. In fact, he's starting to run out of trees. Remember how I said wood is the most valuable resource? There's only so many trees. You can't replant trees, though some games may take long enough. We do have... Wait, whoa. Is that a... What is he building? What are you building? Is that a stone wall gatehouse he's building? But where? Why? Wait, Imperial... He's going to Song Dynasty? Okay, so there is an upgrade. So there's... Okay, follow along with me. So for every dynasty you go to, you can never go to that dynasty again. So once you've reached a dynasty, you can no longer be in that dynasty. You cannot return. You cannot go back to the future. So he's now achieved the Song Dynasty. But why? Does he need more villagers? No, because there's an upgrade on the university that gives you a bonus to your harvest rate for every dynasty you've been in. So this makes 3. So it's 8%. At least it says 8% per dynasty. So that means now that he's been in 3 dynasties, he has a 24% boost. Though I can't imagine he's in the Song Dynasty because... Wait, does Song Dynasty increase the trader growth rate? I don't know, but I imagine very soon we will see the Ming Dynasty, which will increase the economy and the HP of his units. There's no reason he needs to be building villagers. That's the only other bonus. Unless he wants Juganus. I don't think that's the counter here. He has money. Like, Leenock can do whatever he wants right now. He's rich. Viper is broke. He has 7,000 food. What are you going to build? Scouts? Maybe. He's desperate for wood. He has no gold income. The gold on the map is essentially mined out. We're down to passive income, which is, in this case, relics, neutral trade. Oh, the Fire Lancer's blasting through. Yeah, check the guild hall check. He's got 1,200 gold in the guild hall right now. And counting, of course. Is he gonna build a stonewall gatehouse and actually use it in combat? Leenock. Oh, Leenock. What a guy. I think he is. I think that's the plan. So, the keeps also have a tech that can repair stone walls with outposts, though you don't see that very often. I think he really wants to build his gatehouse here, just in this random, like, the test model of stone walls. The spears will burn. Stone walls also block line of sight. So because the Springolds don't have the line of sight to the cannons, they have to come around. The same thing is true of the cannons, though. So the stone walls block the ability for these direct fire weapons to hit each other, creating some awkward scenarios. Leenock, give me the goodies. Oh my god, the cannon's just obliterating the keep. The Springolds returning some fire. Does he not have vision of those? I'm not sure. Meanwhile, knights are along the left flank. Oh. Good luck with those Springles. The knights looking to neutralize Viper. Unfortunately, that horseman got bumped off the sacred site as his buddies ran by. Obviously, he had one job and now he's failed because you can't actually click in the center of the sacred site for some unknown reason. Fun fact. Oh, the spears just eviscerating the knight. Oh, wow, yeah. Wait, so the sacred site on the mini... just ignore it. Don't worry about it. That is the sacred part of the sacred site. That's why. I see. Of course. Viper is maxed. Am I lying? No. He has 13. They both have 10,000 plus food. I still don't see my Stonewall Gatehouse. Leenock, you're in the Song Dynasty. There's no combat bonus. I'm still not sure why he's still in the Song Dynasty, but here we are. Well, the hand cannons not having a great time. This is a terrible fight for Leenock. It's not even if he just walks around the side. The cannons go through the gate. Outmaneuvered. Some incredible micro from Leenock. Oh my god. No, go back. Go back through the gate. Go back through the gate. Leenock discovering peak micro here. Unfortunately, nope. Other side. Back through the gate. Back through the gate. Ah. Not quite able to get through with all of them. Didn't really. Oh, well, that looks bad. Leenock not juggling the gate as well as he could be. But we've reached peak stutter step. Yeah, the Fire Lancers are all dead. I'm not sure what the anti-archer or anti-spear. I guess archers for Viper. Both sides. Well, Viper doesn't have that much wood. But Leenock definitely has an economy advantage. Oh, more cannons. That's so many more cannons. Oh my god. He's got 5 bombards. I have to assume they're all clock tower bombards. Viper is at 150 supply as Leenock has just kind of overwhelmed his forces. And he's done it all... Wait, let's go to the landmarks tracker. Leenock has 6 landmarks. Which means he doesn't have me. Viper is out of money. I gotta say, I've learned a lot from Leenock this year. Don't overvalue the dynasties. Focus on sheer production and this is a very Zerg. He's playing Zerg Chinese right now. Instead of worrying about exactly the counter or exactly what you're doing, just build more stuff. Way more stuff. Like, way more stuff. Way more stuff. Not like more stuff. Way more stuff. And then a few strong units. And like the brood lords, the bombard cannons here. Like, while Viper has strong units, he just doesn't have the economy to compete. He doesn't have the production. The Chinese bombards have the longest range and highest health in the game. And then everything else can fill in the gaps. No matter how fancy the caps on these archers, they still die to a massive cannonball directly anywhere. Leenock will take the third of 3 sacred sites. Jimmy, get the clock ready. Not the clock tower. We're tracking the timer. All right. So, nope. Wait. You may have selected all army, which includes that battle monk. Because there's knights in his trade route. How much is he even returning? He's only returning 25. And he built the market so, like, about as far as he realistically could. But he did not wall this area off. So that is unfortunate for him. Here comes the neighborhood. The Viper, 168. Leenock is maxed. He just has to figure out where to allocate his units. He's up to 125 vills. Has Viper made a withdrawal? How do I keep finding this? He just withdrew from the guild hall. And he's already spent the money. It was at 0, which means he just did in the last 20 seconds. This is it. Viper has one more army. There are no more minerals. There's no stone or gold left to be mined. Only gathered via trade. Ooh, that's not great. Not that Leenock needs... Yeah, he's got 7,000 wood. He's okay for now. He's found a lot of trees. How many cannons? He's got 7 cannons. The knights, yeah, in the back line, but the trade, oh, good to see Leenock's Imperial officers sometimes just sit there at, see, I do this too, all the time. It's like, where did they go? I'm supervising. No one's been there for like 38 minutes, Grandpa. But there's a lot going on. And Leenock's still able to maintain production as it is. Viper at this point, he's looking to pick... wow. Okay. Each of these... Does he have a springald on it? No, it's just... He has no weapon emplacements on these, but... And outposts scattered throughout. Those outposts actually prevent a keep from being built in that area, too. Viper chasing into the he's trying to get to the hand cannonball, but the hand cannonball is making that difficult. As well as the spears on the back line. The cannons working their way through everything else. Yeah, the cannons, you just can't hit them. There's too many now. They one-shot knights. They just need to reload that fancy cannon thing. They're not fully automatic, thankfully. But that is... Yeah, the Leenock's army is just way better now. Viper struggling to get any non-food resources. How much in the guild hall? Where is the guild hall? Where are you, guild hall? He's got 300 in it. Nothing. Not nearly enough. Leenock has been perpetually maxed now. With arguably too many... Throw away the villagers! Murder the villagers! I think he's got some cannon emplacements. No, not yet. He doesn't really have much going. Oh, speaking of cannons. Oh, the monk finds its way back to the third sacred site. Some of the lancers get distracted. The battle is joined. Viper taking the fight. I mean, you gotta pick a fight at some point. Where are the cannons? Where are Leenock's cannons? Does he need them? Doesn't really look like it. It looks like it's gonna be a pretty close fight either way. Meanwhile, oh, that's a villager. That's one way to get rid of your villagers. You come from SC2, you know you're supposed to throw your workers to their death. not just kill them yourself. Because that's how you intimidate your opponent, despite it definitely being quicker to just kill them yourself. This is another way to get rid of those pesky workers, is to let the knights murder them all. You gotta be a little careful about that. That can get out of hand, and here are the cannon. The hand cannonball. Cannon, like, that was more accurate than even I thought. Here are the cannons. Hand cannons and bombard cannons. That's the army. Peak army is as many cannons as possible. And then villagers to repair them. I assume based on the health bars, there's definitely repair happening in there. Good luck getting to the cannons. The hand cannons are eventually whittled down. Unfortunately, though... Oh, wow. That town center is not lasting very long. It's starting to... It's just falling apart for the Viper. He's been struggling for like 20 minutes now, as Leenock has continued to zerg him. And there's just been no money. He hasn't been able to put together much of a war effort. The Chinese economy is too strong. And Leenock is closing it like there's just not any army left. Viper has been maxed for many minutes, whereas Leenock has resources in the bank. He's slowly losing his villagers and adding more army as well. In fact, Viper still has 100 villagers, so that means his army supply is actually incredibly low. Leenock has 115 military to 65. Look at the... No! Leenock is coming. You cannot get out. If that doesn't explain enough for you. The overwhelming force across the map. Viper unable to compete. Had some very solid fights, but Leenock, through attrition, will win the war. He is your victor. The Leenocktopus. Very much a macro over micro game from him, I will say. Very much focused on more units instead of better units. Even with the fire, as you see, the fire lancers there to the fire lancers to kill archers, just to generally deal with siege, just as your flavor unit, I guess. Bringing up the statistics. When it comes to the resources, you can see a marked shift as time goes on with the Chinese economy. Between the passive gold of tax officials, though I don't think he was using much of that, and the ability to just be so cost-effective with such low-cost units. The villagers, Viper starting out with more Leenock catching up, the unit count. How much of that is the civilization? How much of that is the player? How much of that is the map? And how much of that makes you want to like and subscribe? I don't know. But thank you to EGC for putting it on. Thank you to the players and you for watching. Thank you for watching. Stay chill.